ESPN Wisconsin Coaches Week at the campus of UW-Madison. Alex Strouf with head coach Greg Gard ahead of the 25-26 campaign. Coach, how are we?
I'm good. I'm ready to get it rolling as we're a little bit into it, but here it's going to buckle up. Here we go.
I mean, when you look at this non-conference this year, man, obviously there's one team who ended your season last year that we'll get to, but you've loaded it up again this year. You want to play the best right at the beginning. Why is that?
Well, I think you need to get challenged. That's the only way you're going to grow, is to get some adversity thrown at you. You want to schedule to potentially get beat. That's the only way you're going to grow. And, we have quite a few on the schedule could potentially beat us. So we're going to learn early where we're at and where we need to go.
BYU, that's obviously the team that knocked you out in the round of 32 last year, and you get another crack at them, and they've got a pretty good freshman on that roster. Excited for that one? Is that one you circle? I know you never look ahead, one game at a time, but is that one you've got circled a little bit in the back of your mind?
I don't know about circled, but it's obviously going to be an immense challenge. It'll be a road game for us. It's not Denver. We're actually in Salt Lake City, so in their home state. So it'll be, obviously, they're a really good team. I saw a little bit of them the other night against, who did I see them against?
Oh, on opening night, who'd they play?
Villanova.
That's right. You got it. I watched that game too, and I forgot.
Yeah. We get Villanova too later in December, but obviously Davison has all the accolades and everything, deservedly so, but they've got a lot around him, and it'll be fun. We got a few weeks here, a couple of weeks. We got to get a lot better before we tee off against the Cougars.
Another cool non-conference this year is UW Milwaukee. Obviously, Bo coached there prior to coming here when he joined him. It's always cool to see those in-state rivalry games. Why was it important for you guys to get them back on the schedule?
Well, I coached there too. I was with Bo for the 2 years we were there, and I think anytime you can do that, it's good for basketball in the state. Obviously, we had our exhibition game with Platteville as we rotate through the WIAC. We'll have our annual game with Marquette as well. So when it fits, it's not maybe as there's not as many openings on the schedule as there used to be in the past, just because we're playing more league games for one. But also there's so many other opportunities where we can play neutral site road games or MTE events, those type of things that have to take precedent over playing everybody all the time in the state.
All right, last non-conference question for you. It is that Marquette game. But rather than ask you, like I do every year, about why it's so important to you, I have a hypothetical for you.
Okay.
What would you say to somebody who has a shirt that is half Marquette basketball and half Wisconsin basketball? If they were to wear that shirt to the game, what would your response to that be?
Do you have one of those shirts?
I will save that answer until you answer.
I would say it. Well, you're gonna leave happy, no matter what that day, right? Half of you will be happy.
Half of me will be happy. I do have one of those shirts, yes. Okay. You played that game at Pfizer on my birthday last year. Okay. My girlfriend stitched together 2 shirts for me because I root for everybody, and I thought it was a better shirt.
You're not a graduate of both.
I am a graduate of Stevens Point, so I'm a big fan of Dick Bennett. Okay. But no. So I just wanted everybody to have fun, so I thought it was a better shirt than say I hope everybody is.
His birthday is when?
December 7th, so it's the day before this year.
Just after mine.
That's right. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
But no, it's good. It's great for the state. Obviously, it's one day for everybody to hate each other on either side of the line. But after that, Shaka will go on and chase his Big East title, and we'll go on and chase a Big Ten title and move on to other things. But for one day, it's a fun game.
No doubt about that. Let's talk about the offseason again, because you bring up a guy like Shaka, who I talked to last week. He takes a very different approach than you do, right? You guys are reloading through the portal. Maybe not as much this year as it was a year ago, but you still got primetime players in the portal, and you've found a natural evolution over the course of the last few years on really valuing that.
Yeah, I think, everybody has their own ideology behind it, and some have been all in. Some have been not in at all. Some have been kind of one foot in each boat. We've probably been both. Freshman recruiting and retention is still priority number one, and 1A. And then be able to find the right people. And I think that's, for us, the ability to stay mature, stay experienced, stay old. In the days of old, you could redshirt a whole crop of players and have them incubate down at the end of the bench and then roll them in there when about their third year here. And that those times have changed. So I think for us, it just made sense as we looked at the landscape of where we need to be and how consistent we want to be at the upper echelon of our league and nationally. we're going to have to stay old. And there's so many good players. I mean, the portal gets a lot of knocks, but the players that have come here, the guys have been great people, number one. And obviously John Tanjay, a year ago was a poster child for that. And we have, 4 of them here this year. So it's been good to us, but I think there's a balance too. And I think we went wholesale and go all portal. And I don't think we're in a position where we will not use the portal. We're always going to have that as part of our base.
But speaking of retention and getting guys to buy in, I think John Blackwell could be a poster child for that. Right. And obviously he's going to be a huge part of this team this year. How have you seen him, and how have you been able to maintain his commitment to the University of Wisconsin?
Well, I think going through his, he told me last year, actually in the locker room after the BYU game, that he wasn't going to go anywhere. He was going to test the NBA waters. He had a lot of people that were knocking on his door illegally, I will say, in the tampering world, but he's been committed to us. We were the only high major to recruit him. I think that means a lot to him and his family. And then he went through the NBA process, and I think that was good for him. I always encourage my upperclassmen, if you want to go do it, go test it out. You'll get exposed. I mean, you'll get some things shown to you that you're not quite ready for. But I think for him, it showed his confidence of how good he is. But yet he also got his eyes opened up to what he has to get better at. And he's come back, put a lot of time in, a lot of work. Anything that happens for him is going to be a credit to him because he has really committed himself. He's in this gym upstairs darn near 24/7. But and he's changed his body. He's leaner. Just watching his confidence grow and his maturity, and he has the mindset of a dominant player right now.
What about from a leadership perspective? What does he bring?
Yeah, I mean, he's just calm. I mean, he's just steady. He's never too high. He's never too low. He's always been like that. But now I think he exudes that to the team even more. And he has a very calming voice. He knows when to light a match and get the fire going a little bit. But he also is just so mature in his viewpoint and his communication ability with our new players. I mean, new maybe a freshman right out of high school or new maybe a fifth-year senior. So his ability to kind of be a chameleon, so to speak, in our locker room and address people in different ways is really, really good.
Something I love about college athletics is it seems like fan bases wrap their arms around somebody almost random every year. Felt like Gilly was kind of a cult hero of sorts. It seems like Jack Janicki might be that new guy for you. And second part on him is, in this world of transfer portal and NIL, he's probably a guy who could have left and started somewhere maybe at a mid-major, but he's committed to Wisconsin. What do you make of Janicki?
I think, when you have guys like that, like Gilly and like Jack, they come in with a chip on their shoulder. Both came in as walk-ons. It was something to prove. They wanted to prove. There was a lot of doubters that they could play at this level, and they believed in themselves. They knew it was going to take a lot of work. Jack put a lot of work into his game. He's, again, transformed his body. And again, playing really confident. I don't see the hesitation in Jack, as you can see by steals and transition threes that he fires that he did the other night. But I just like his moxie and his confidence about him. And there's gonna be bumps in the road like there is for every player. But for him, the commitment that he wanted to be at the University of Wisconsin, and he had to take the long, hard way in terms of walking on here. Now he obviously is on scholarship and it's going to be an integral part of our success this year.
Another guy who's developed quite a bit. I believe you called him a baby giraffe when I talked to you last year, Nolan Winter.
Yeah.
What have you seen out of him?
Yeah, well, he's a teenage giraffe right now. He's in his adolescent years. But no, he's again another guy that's worked on his game, and at 7 feet, he will get maybe public knocks for but not being strong, or when you see him get knocked around, it'll look like he's not strong enough. And when you're that big, trying to put on weight and trying to gain strength, and also as mobile and agile and athletic as he is, that's a fine balance. Mm. And I think he's still his best basketball is way ahead of him yet. I think his maturity from a physiological standpoint is still a ways down the road. He looks some days like he's 14 years old, just in his face. But he's evolved too, and I think for him now, with Stephen Crowell gone and Gilmore gone and Tanjay gone and some of those older frontline guys, he's now the mainstay in there that's been there. And obviously he's got Aussie Rap playing alongside of him in the starting lineup. But he's the mature, experienced one in that lineup right now. And I see all the things he does day in and day out that maybe haven't shown in a game yet that That's why I keep saying his talent is through the roof. It's just a matter of him putting it all together all at once, all the time.
So you talk about some of the newcomers, but even with Nolan, this is such a physical league you play in. And you talk about trying to put on weight or being in the weight room. Is it more important, though, to put on that weight, or is it more important to just get reps in the Big Ten and understand the physicality that you're dealing with?
I think that helps you, the reps and the experience and getting knocked around a little bit, help you understand how important the weight room is and why you're doing what you're doing. Sometimes when newcomers come in, and even our transfers, they've never lifted and trained like we train here, and it doesn't take them long to figure out why we do. And especially our freshmen, when they go through it a year, they're always going to be more committed. Not that they're not as newcomers, but that second time through or second lap around the track when it comes to the off season, they really understand because they've had their lunch handed to them usually a few times and understand how important it is to train and the consistency of that. And it's not only the weight room, it's the off the court, the diet, your nutrition, things you and I could keep in mind that would help us learn later in life.
Sure would.
Those things, I think when you get real life experience, it helps maybe ingrain those lessons a little deeper.
Definitely. Let's rifle through these transfer ads because we've started to get a taste of them, obviously, in the opener against Campbell. But what should Badger fans expect? Let's start with Nick Wood.
Well, consummate point guard. Leader, alpha dog. Between him and if we were all canines and we had a bone to fight over, Blackwell and Boyd would be on each end of the bone fighting two alpha dogs that really, Nick brings a dimension to us that we haven't had in a while in terms of the speed with the ball. Obviously, he's had tremendous success at Florida Atlantic and San Diego State, so he just brings some maturity. I think for him, understanding and learning his teammates, who can catch his fastballs, who can't, where he has to put bounce passes, where he can throw lobs to, and then just understanding and gelling within the core of the group.
You talk about that deep tournament run he had, right. The experience he had at FAU. How important is that to add that to a roster?
That's why he came here. He told me when he committed, he goes, I want to go to a Final Four. That's why I'm coming to Wisconsin. I think we're built to make a deep run, and I'd like to bring my experience to make another one like I did at FAU.
Rohde, local kid, back in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's great. We recruited Andrew a little bit coming out of St. Thomas. Really didn't out of Brookfield Central, felt he wasn't ready for this level yet. And quite frankly, I don't know if he was ready for this level coming out of St. Thomas, but now he's had some maturity and not only physically and his game's matured, but his mindset has matured. And when your best attribute, your two best attributes are your passing ability and your defensive acumen, you're a pretty mature player, and he understands how important those are to a team and to a team's success. So just, again, the experience he brings, and then obviously being in state, that's always, as I tell all the kids recruiting in state, that, we want the best in Wisconsin to be right here in Badgers and stay home. So some choose to do it, some don't. There's so many options out there, but when they do, they learn real quickly how beneficial it is to be here at home.
You love your jokes, you love your analogies. I heard you say Aussie Rap.
Yeah.
That's a good one. You come up with that?
No, that's kind of his nickname, Austin, and since he's Australian, they've kind of combined.
Sure. It's clever. I like it.
It is.
But what does he bring to the squad?
6'10", and can shoot it really well. I think his offensive feel for the game is really at a high level. We're working on the defensive end of it. We're working on the rebounding end of it. But he wants to get better in that area, and he knows that for him to take the jump from, he's freshman of the year in the West Coast Conference. I told him when he came here, you're going into deeper water now more consistently. Not that you don't play good teams in the West Coast Conference, but every night you're going to have a Gonzaga teeing off or a St. Mary's against you in terms of the level we're going to see in our league and our major non-conference games. So for him, the challenge is the offense we know is there. I'd like to see him continue to develop more ability to put the ball on the floor to counter some of his three-point shooting. And then obviously the defensive end and the rebounding, that's reps and that's understanding the rules and how everything fits together as a team.
All right, a couple more for Coach Greg Gard on Coaches Week. I want to talk about you and your staff because some changes there, but first I want to start with the offense. I asked ChatGPT to define the offensive change last year. It used the word modernized. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say fair or evolved. Evolutionized.
Big jump, though.
Evolutionized is the word.
Yeah, you've always harped on points per possession.
Yeah.
You got more possessions last year, though.
We got more possessions, yeah, and we're able to keep our efficiency really high, meaning we didn't turn the ball over, even though we had more possessions at a faster pace. Our turnovers were still, we were top 10, I think, in the country or close to it. We go more on percentage of possessions that we have turnovers, not a number specifically. So if you have more possessions, obviously your total whole number is going to go up, but it's a percentage that we try to keep at 10% or less. But yeah, I think we've had to evolve. I think the game has changed. The rules have forced scoring to be emphasized more. And as I watch the kind of the transformation of the elite teams, and if you want to play deep into March, you want to play in the Final Four, you're going to have to score. And not that defense isn't important, but I think offense is as important or more important than ever, just because of the talent of the players, the spacing, the ball handling ability, the shooting, the emphasis on the three. Again, the rule changes with it's hard to get a charge anymore. They're calling more blocks. They want more scoring. They want more free throws. So how can we bridge what we're doing and what we've done for so well for so long? And now can we take it to let's turn up the volume a little bit. Let's turn up the speed of it a little bit. And some of it's really boils down to two things. It's spacing and it's pace. And then obviously we become more ball screen centric, but it's maybe not as much. The numbers prove that it's an evolution. I would say it's maybe not as big a change as people think it is, but the results have been bigger maybe than what people expected.
And you've always credited Kirk Penny with a huge part of that. And obviously he leaves the program, Brad Davison in. Before we talk about that change though, what is special assistant to the head coach? What does that mean?
I need a lot of assistance.
Are they giving you coffee? Like what is?
Well, they can. They can wash my car. They can fill it up with gas. They can get me coffee. Go get me lunch. No, I mean it's really. Quite frankly, when we created that position, we could only have 4 assistant, 3 assistant coaches. So now the rules have changed. Quite frankly, we could probably change the name to just assistant coach. But by title, it's special assistant to the head coach. I don't know if it makes them feel more special since they have that title, but it's where we were able to, from a creation of the position standpoint at that time, and we haven't taken the time to change the title.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to ask. I didn't know if that included like a cup of coffee from Starbucks a day or whatever, but maybe you could implement that.
Yeah,
that's what makes them special.
We have 19 managers that are always willing to go take my car and get
19?
19, yeah. We have more managers than players.
Are you going to have 2 basketball teams for them this year?
They do have their manager groups.
Yeah.
They play their games. There's not as
you
many
might need
teams.
like a varsity and a JV for them.
Yeah, I let them sort it out.
Yeah, fair enough.
They do an awesome job. They're not all here at once. We do play school here pretty seriously at Wisconsin, so they have their classes. So we may see 6 of them per day, and then they rotate through.
Excited to have Brad back on campus?
Yeah, I mean it was a matter of when, not if. I felt he was. I've always, even coaching me as a player, he had a coach's mind, he had a coach's approach, he had a coach's voice, and it just fell together really, really quickly in terms of the timing of it. And the timing was right for him, the timing is right for us, and he's fit as seamlessly as any staff change or addition I've ever had. So it's like he's never left.
Right.
But he's brought some really good things, even the 4 years he went and played overseas. Just his experience. He's been really good for our players too, because he's only 26, so he's a young pup, and he can relate, because as can Joe and Sharif and Greg and all my staff, because they've sat in the player's seat specifically here, and that I think has been so important and so vital. And the reason we've had such great continuity and success is because they are really, really invested. It's more than just a job to them. They live and breathe and bleed this place, and it matters to them when they know what it's like to put on that jersey. And I think that really helps our players. They can go to them with anything. They know exactly the struggles our players are going to have, and they're able to help them through it. So it's been a huge attribute to have former players on my staff.
Such a good answer. I got two more for you, and we'll get you out of here.
Okay.
First one is the second weekend of the tournament. I know that's something you hear about all the time. Is that something that weighs on you? I know you guys are so close.
The third weekend does. I want to get to the third weekend. Everybody talks about second weekend. Why wouldn't you're playing to try to win the whole thing? We came within a whisker against Duke 10 years ago, in 15. That's the ultimate goal. Yeah, everybody gets caught up in the Sweet 16. Yes, you want to get there. But you want more than that. I want that third weekend. I want that Monday night
Hopefully this is the year.
Hey, we have to have a lot of things go well. We have to play really well. It's one thing about college basketball is the parity, number one, is higher than any other sport. If you look at the other sports, when they get down to their playoffs, their Final Fours, their college football playoffs, it's pretty much the same teams year in and year out. College basketball on the men's side has so much more parity, and you're playing a one-game playoff, right? You're not playing a best of 7, okay, or a best of 5. So if you don't play well for a small smidgen of time, like we didn't play well against Purdue or against BYU until about the last 8 minutes. Well, that was 32 minutes too late. If we had 2 more minutes in that game, we might have caught them. But you need to play, you got to stay healthy, and you got to play really well, and you can't have any hiccups. And if you're, if you stub your toe a little bit, you're going to get sent home. So I always say all the average and bad teams are on spring break. They get their toes up in the sand, having a Corona or whatever they do on spring break. I've never gone on spring break. I was always coaching even during college. So they tell me what spring break is like, but I like to be coaching and playing in a tournament when all that stuff's going on.
Good answer. You can go on spring break at like the end of April, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay,
exactly.
Bingo. Last thing for you. It's your 10th full year, but at year 11 at the helm of this program, and so much has changed across the landscape of this program, of college basketball as a whole. How does it stay fun for Greg Gard?
Competition. I think that's ultimately and the idea of why you got into this profession. My first coaching job 35 years ago, 1990, was a group of about 13 8th grade boys, and you coached because you loved the sport, because you wanted to help younger people get better. And I thought I had the world by the tail, and that's my favorite part. And I always wondered why head coaches would say, when I see them get asked on different media, like, what's your favorite part of your job? And they would always say practice. I'm like, what the heck? You talking about practice? I'm not doing an Allen Iverson impression, but why not the games? Why not the bright lights? Why not the cameras? And now I know, because as much as the outside world spins, you got so many things pulling you in 10,000 different ways. The favorite part of my day is going in that gym, pulling that door shut, and our 14 guys and my staff trying to help this team get better. It takes you back to why you got in the profession 35 years ago. It wasn't because of the lights and the cameras and the paycheck. It was because of the love of the sport and the love of the game and the love of competition. And those are the things at the heart of why I still do what I do.
I'm so excited to watch college basketball now. You got me fired up. I'm ready to run through a brick wall. Yeah. Greg Gard, ESPN Wisconsin Coaches Week. Thanks, Coach.
You bet. Thank you.